Are you thinking about selling your house on your own?
Today we're going to talk about what are the biggest mistakes that people do when they try to sell their property on their own. Stay tuned. Gamalier, broker realtor with Sturgis Realty Group.
And I'm Alan Rios. I'm the realtor with Sturgis Realty Group. Thank you for watching. Remember to click like and subscribe to our channel.
Today we're going to talk about a specific topic for those people, a very special topic. If you're thinking about selling your property on your own.
That is correct. We refer to them as FSBOs or for sale by owners. And we're going to talk about some of the common mistakes that for sale by owners make. But let's talk about the reasons why for sale by owners want to sell their house on their own. Number one reason is?
Definitely saving money.
That is correct. Number two that we find out a lot is they had a bad relationship with their last realtor. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, a lot of times I talk to a lot of for sale by owner, and a lot of them tell me that they had a bad experience with their previous agent, and that's the reason why they decided to sell on their own. And some of them obviously said that they believe they could save a little more money if they sell their houses in their own.
That is correct. So those are some of the reasons why for sale by owners put their house on the market on their own. Let's talk about some of the common mistakes now involved with for sale by owners when they do that. Obviously, it entails quite a few things here, Gamalier.
Yeah,
Number one has to be marketing and exposure.
Yeah, definitely. That's very important, Alan. Very important when you're selling a home is making sure that you get the most buyers walking through that door. If you want to sell the house for more money, you definitely have to show it to more people and have them compete. One of the things that mistake that for sale by owners do is that they just put a sign in front of their home and expect that everybody's going to come through that door. Yeah,
and especially if you're in a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of traffic, it's going to very limit yourself as far as that exposure is concerned. And then another thing they might do, they might put it on the for sale by owner website, but that's about it. So it doesn't really reach out to so many folks.
Yeah, a professional experienced realtor, what they would do is create a marketing specific plan for that particular property, making sure they get a lot of exposure. Not only just show it to other realtors and their network, but also make a marketing plan when it comes to social media. Also expose it to other renters in the area. Obviously send the flyers, do events and networking. So there's a lot of things that happens when it comes to exposing the property to the right buyer and netting the most money on the property.
Yeah, they are missing out on a lot of key steps when it comes to marketing the property. Number two has to be pricing the home correctly. And this is a big issue here. A lot of times they can price it below where it should be or even too high, Gamalier.
Yeah, and obviously the problem with those two is that when you price it below, obviously you're going to be losing a lot of money. And then when you price it too high, what ends up is your house stays in the market for a long time, and then buyers start thinking there's something wrong with this house. But obviously the house is beautiful and has all the right things, but you're not having the right buyer coming through, and you're not pricing it correctly, so that you have the buyers who are looking for other property and comparing your property and end up buying other properties because they think your house is overpriced.
Yeah, and that just delays the whole process. And another reason why for sale by owners may make some mistakes is handling the contracts, the paperwork that's involved. That's a lot of paperwork that we have to handle as realtors, right? Just imagine the average person handling that.
And that's very, very important. One thing that I see a lot, Ellen, is that people don't do the right disclosure. One of the disclosure that people seem to miss a lot when it comes to those contracts is the lead-based disclosure. For any home that was built before 1978, you're supposed to disclose that possibly it could have lead in the property. So there's a specific disclosure and there are other disclosures that you need to use when you're selling a home. And I find out all the time when I talk to for sale by owners that they don't disclose certain items which they could be open for being sued.
Yeah, that's something you definitely want to be very careful with. Another issue is wasting their time showing their house, right? So someone could say, hey, I'm interested in your house. You let them in, they walk around. How do you know if they're ready to buy a house, Gamalier?
Yeah, and that's very important. I found out a lot that a lot of for sale by owners many times end up tightening up your property to a person that can't even buy your property, and it's just because they didn't do the diligence and checking, making sure that this is a qualified buyer, not a pre-qualified buyer, because someone could come in
with a pre-approved.
Correct. Someone could come with a letter and say, hey, I've been approved by this bank, but they just made a phone call and they send them a letter. They have not given all the proper documentation, their income from work, their taxes, their pay stub. They have not given none of that stuff to the loan officer. So you're get excited, put the house under contract, and then find out after 30 days that this buyer cannot buy your home.
Yep, they don't have the money or the financing to purchase the house. And then another issue that comes in with wasting your time bringing people in is safety.
That's
Gamalier.
very important.
You know, you just don't know who you're bringing in the house. I mean, someone coming off the street may have different intentions, maybe robbing you or causing harm.
Yes, so I definitely recommend if you're showing a home by your own, you're selling a home for sale by owner, at least have somebody else in there for safety, definitely.
All right, and then also another issue, Gamalier, is negotiation, right, against the buyer. So that's a part that a lot of sellers lack when it comes to selling a house on their own.
Yeah, what they don't realize is obviously when you're negotiating the property, but a lot of times buyer feels that you're taking advantage of them, that obviously, because obviously you don't have any representation in the middle that could actually transition the transaction and make it easier for both parties. So a lot of time also good realtors are really good negotiators. So they're able to transition the transaction and get you the most out of the property. And
they help separate the emotion too as well.
Yes.
That's key right there. All right. The other mistake a lot of them make, doing the wrong upgrades, right? You've come across some homes, they'll say, hey, I've done this, I've done that. And then you look and, well, not in the right spots.
Yes. A lot of times they end up spending too much money in the kitchen, which the kitchen is the heart of the kitchen. We have a video, you could take a look at some of the things you could do.
The house, definitely,
You could do from the low budget to the higher budget, but obviously the most important when you're doing anything into a home is taking in consideration the return. You want to make sure that you do the right things to get the higher return, you do the right colors on the home, you do the right flooring, that you don't spend too much money. And a lot of times that's what happens. A lot of these people who are investors end up putting too much money into the property and not getting the highest return.
Yeah, and that's where a professional realtor like us comes in. We can, scope out the house, walk through your house, and kind of give you some guidance as far as the upgrades you may want to consider. All right, the other mistake, lack of resources, right? So a lot of the for sale by owners, they don't have relationships with appraisers. They don't have relationships with a loan officer. Mm-hmm. And that's very key when it comes to going through the whole process of selling your home.
Obviously, the goal at the end of the day, the goal is to take the transaction all the way to closing.
Yeah.
And during that period of time, obviously you have an inspection and you have to be able to negotiate the inspection. You got to make sure that you make that buyer happy and what to offer and how to handle that transaction. You have the appraiser, which there's things you could do to make sure you get the highest appraisal on your properties. And one of the biggest mistakes that people do is that they just let it open. And one of the things that we do, one of the tips that we do, we create a report that we give directly to the appraisal. A lot of unfortunately, a lot of the agents don't do that because they don't have those small details as what makes a difference. And that's how we're able to get the highest net when it comes to selling a property.
That is correct. There's a lot of common mistakes that we went over in this list for sale by owners. So you may want to reconsider if you're thinking about selling your house on your own. Take a look at a professional realtor like Gamalier and I. We can help you and guide you through the steps all the way to closing.
Definitely. And one more thing that I want to talk about, the mistakes that people do when they're selling a property is pictures.
That's right. That is right.
That's the big thing. Nowadays, the first pictures in online is everything. 98% of people sell properties online. So you want to make sure that you don't use your cell phone to take pictures, that you use a professional, experienced photographer to sell your property, because that's what an experienced agent would do. Those photographers have special lenses that makes the room look nicer, bigger,
and also brighter.
Inviting. Yes.
Yeah. So you definitely want to invest in that when it comes to selling your house.
So yes, if you're thinking about selling your home, one of the things that we like to offer is a free market analysis. We'll come in and some of the details to come in and help you to make a better decision. There's no obligation. Feel free to reach us directly, and we'll be glad to give you some counsel.
All right. Thank you for watching. Remember to click like and subscribe to our channel. We'll talk to you next time.
Have a good day.